I have finally weathered the storm and seen the light at the end of the tunnel.
As long as I complete the ultimate task and marry Emma, my lost cornea and kidney will regenerate. Then, I can decide whether to stay or leave. I plan to stay and spend my life with Emma as a married couple.
Feeling his way along the wall, David could hear the faint vibrations and music coming through it. 3 months ago, he was in a car accident. His cornea was damaged, and he became completely blind. Fortunately, the system constantly reminded him, preventing him from being too helpless.
You've arrived.
When David touched the doorknob, the system's cold, mechanical voice sounded. He breathed a slight sigh of relief and was about to open the door and walk in. From the gap, he heard the voices of Emma's friends.
The wedding is in a week, Emma. Are you really going to marry a blind man?
If you marry a blind man, won't your children also be blind?
Idiot. David wasn't born blind.
Don't you love James anymore? You and James are such a perfect match, a talented man and a beautiful woman, childhood sweethearts. He likes you so much.
He liked you so much that he took $300,000 for his family to give to you, following David's instigation, and got beaten up and hospitalized by the Smith family.
Unfortunately, David snatched the marriage contract and tore you two apart, knowing you're getting married. James cried so much his eyes almost went blind. There won't be a second pair of corneas to replace them.
It was like a bolt from the blue striking David's mind. What second pair of corneas? What snatched marriage contract? What 300,000? The facts were not like that at all. They were talking nonsense. But he waited for a long time and didn't hear Emma explaining or defending him. He felt something was wrong.
System, what's Emma's current favorability?
Congratulations, host. It's 99%.
Hearing this value, David breathed a sigh of relief. Emma shouldn't believe what these people are saying, otherwise, her favorability towards him would definitely decrease. David had transmigrated into the true young master in a novel about a fake young master. Due to a nanny's jealousy, the original protagonist and her son were swapped. The original protagonist grew up in an orphanage and was found by chance. The Smith family had feelings for the fake young master and didn't want to send him away, so they told the public they had twins. David was stolen and only found later. Emma is the female lead of the novel. The young lady of the Yun family, she was engaged to the young master of the Smith family since childhood. They grew up together. Before their wedding, the Yun family went bankrupt, and her parents both passed away. The Smith family wanted to break off the engagement. The fake young master, afraid of living a hard life, refused to fulfill the engagement. The Smith family feared being called ungrateful. At this critical moment, David transmigrated. Upon hearing about this, he immediately volunteered to fulfill the engagement with Emma. When Emma heard the news, she neither agreed nor refused, only saying she wanted to revive the Yun family before settling down. David endured hardships with her for 3 years. The Yun family rose again, becoming the leading enterprise in Jiangchang. After the car accident, Emma proposed to him, and the wedding was set for next week. David must be overthinking. But he still felt uneasy. David pushed the door open and entered. The room fell silent for a moment.
David is here.
Come on, Emma is drunk. Take her home.
One of her friends helped David take Emma home and put her in the bedroom. When he saw her off, he clearly closed the door. But he still heard another person's breathing at the entrance.
Hello, is there something you need?
Ha! A mocking laugh came.
Blind man, your ears are quite sharp.
Instinctively, David stepped back, but suddenly a strong force knocked him to the ground. Bang! A loud noise. David's head hit the ground, and he felt dazed. Hands started tearing at his clothes.
Get off! Get away!
Aren't you Emma's friend?
I'm her fiancé. Don't you understand the principle of respecting a friend's partner?
Of course, I do. But what you're doing is beyond wrong.
Blind fool, you have a pretty good figure. Is that how you seduced Emma?
You stole your own brother's fiancée. What right do you have to judge me?
Besides, Emma agreed to let you accompany me for a night in exchange for $1 million project.
I felt like I had fallen into an icy abyss. Just as she thought I had given in and relaxed her guard, I pushed her away with all my strength. Guided by the system's prompts, I fumbled for the fruit plate, ignoring the cuts on my hands, and pointed the knife outward. My body trembled uncontrollably. Get out! Get out!
Damn it, what a killjoy. You think you're so precious.
Finally, I heard footsteps and the heavy sound of the door slamming shut. The fruit knife slipped from my hand, and I collapsed to the floor, drained of all energy. I didn't know how much time had passed before I heard footsteps again.
Lap.
Someone approached, and I instinctively swung my hand, landing a crisp slap.
It's me.
I know. I knew it was her. I also knew she wasn't drunk. She said you agreed to let me accompany her for a night in exchange for a project. Is that true? My vision was a blur, unable to see Emma's expression at that moment. Emma remained silent. That was already her answer. System, what's Emma's current affection level?
Congratulations, host, it's 99%.
The affection level hadn't changed. I reached out, grabbing her pant leg. Emma, did I do something wrong to make you unhappy? Are you just trying to teach me a lesson? If I did something wrong, tell me, and I'll change. Please don't give me to someone else. I couldn't help but cry, feeling wronged. If the system hadn't told me that Emma's current affection level was 99%, I would have doubted if she loved me at all. Otherwise, why would she give me away? Emma still didn't speak. She turned and walked away. I couldn't see where she went, and fear enveloped me. Emma, where are you? There was no response for a long time. Suddenly, a hand grabbed mine, and a sharp pain shot through my palm, accompanied by the smell of alcohol. I instinctively tried to pull my hand back, but Emma stopped me.
Weren't you tough just now? Now you know it hurts?
I broke free from her hand and threw myself into her arms, holding her tightly. Emma, I only have you. Do you love me? If you don't, I won't survive.
I love you. I won't let anything happen to you.
I couldn't see her face, but her gentle tone was cold as ice. Since Emma's success, her old friends had returned. But they didn't like me because they were also friends with James. They had witnessed the bond between Emma and James since childhood. They always thought James should be the one to marry Emma. But it was James who refused to fulfill the engagement. Emma knew about the engagement swap back then. She didn't object either. We had endured so much together. To raise money for Emma, I sold my kidney on the black market, getting $300,000 for her. Fortunately, the system said that after completing the task, I could use points to restore my body if I stayed. But that was after the task was completed. The pain was real. Without a kidney, my health deteriorated. I became frail and blind. My condition worsened. The next day, I started running a fever. Emma canceled her work to stay by my side, cooking meals and feeding me medicine herself. I felt content, as if my illness had mostly healed.
Emma, you're so good to me.
You're sick, and the wedding preparations are exhausting. Should we postpone the wedding?
No.
I refused immediately, and Emma didn't press further. I knew my reaction was a bit extreme, so I quickly tried to make up for it.
I can't wait to be your husband. With the porridge you made, I already feel much better. I can make it through the wedding.
I tried to maintain my composure, but Emma still seemed worried.
I want to give you a perfect wedding.
As long as I can marry you, it will be the perfect wedding.
I just felt a bit regretful that I couldn't see Emma in her wedding dress.
All right, if you insist, we'll proceed as planned.
Emma relented, but she seemed upset that I wasn't taking care of myself, her tone turning cold.
Emma, you're getting harder to please.
In the afternoon, we had planned to try on wedding dresses, but Emma had something come up at work, so she sent a driver to take me to the bridal shop. While trying on the suit, I imagined our wedding.
Sir, ma'am, you can't come in? The store is booked for a VIP today.
Suddenly, there was a commotion nearby. I felt a bit confused.
David! We finally found you, David!
With a thud, someone seemed to kneel down. Mr. and Mrs. Smith knelt before me, clinging to my legs, crying desperately.
James is in trouble. Please save him. He's your brother after all.
Their grip made me unsteady, and I bent down to help them up.
Calm down and explain. What happened to James?
Mrs. Smith was in tears, sobbing uncontrollably.
James has been diagnosed with kidney failure and needs a transplant. Everyone has been tested, and only you are a match. You're the only one who can save him.
We're truly out of options. If we wait for a hospital match, who knows how long it will take. James can't wait that long.
No. I can't give him my kidney.
The air seemed to freeze for a moment.
Lap.
Mrs. Smith slapped me. My face turned to the side, burning with pain. More than the pain, it was the humiliation.
Why? How can you be so heartless? He's your brother. Why won't you save him? If it weren't for you being a match, do you think we would beg you? I always knew you were cold and unfeeling. How did I give birth to someone like you? I should have ended it back then.
Mr. Smith pulled Mrs. Smith back, stopping her from doing anything more drastic. His brows furrowed. When he looked at me again, his eyes were icy.
I can give you money as much as you want.
I slowly turned my head, expressionless, still enveloped in darkness.
If you had ended it back then, James wouldn't have come to your family. And no one would be able to donate a kidney to him. James would truly be gone.
Lap.
Suddenly, another slap landed heavily on my face. I felt dizzy, collapsing to the ground, my face burning with pain. This slap was filled with rage. The force was unrestrained. I even felt a bit lightheaded. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were speechless.
Emma?
Was it her who hit me?
David, how can you be so cruel? James already gave up the engagement for you, and you won't save him? You even curse him here? You're truly heartless.
Emma's cold voice came through.
System. What's Emma's current favorability? Congratulations, host. It's 99%.
They forcibly dragged me to the hospital. Emma insisted that the doctor prepare for a kidney transplant between me and James. After saying this, she left.
Don't we need to do a compatibility test for a kidney transplant? I asked, sensing someone nearby.
Mr. David, you and Mr. James had a retinal surgery before, and a compatibility test was done then. You are a match.
A stranger's voice replied, shocking me to the core.
Retinal surgery? Didn't Emma say my retina was damaged in a car accident and had to be removed?
Panicking, I grabbed the person's hand tightly.
Bring Emma here! I need to see Emma!
I started to feel frantic. Like a madman, I shouted for Emma. I had to see her. I fumbled out of bed, stumbling towards the door. Unfamiliar with my surroundings, I bumped into something.
I fell heavily to the ground, scattering medical instruments everywhere.
My hand instinctively searched the floor and was accidentally cut by a sharp object, causing me to gasp in pain. The pain, however, brought me back to my senses.
Bring Emma to me.
Something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. I felt a vague sense of unease. Why would Emma do this to me? Fear enveloped me. But all I could see was darkness.
All right, calm down. The person, frightened by my actions, quickly responded, and hurried footsteps left the room.
I collapsed on the floor, my hands trembling uncontrollably. The sound of high heels approached. I could feel Emma standing coldly in front of me, looking down at me with disdain. Looking at me, as pathetic as a dog.
Emma, did you give my corneas to James? Are you planning to give him my kidney too? Why? Why are you doing this to me?
Facing Emma, I suddenly calmed down. I asked each word coldly. I still held a glimmer of hope in my heart.
System. What is Emma's current affection level? Congratulations, host, it is 99%.
Ha! Suddenly, a cold laugh echoed in the room. All I could see was darkness. Emma squatted down, her slender fingers gripping my chin tightly. Pain shot through me. I still couldn't believe Emma would do this to me.
If I marry you, will you do anything? You took James' parents, his fiancée. What's wrong with giving him a pair of corneas? You owe him this.
Emma pushed me away forcefully, her voice cold.
As long as you agree to donate your kidney, I will marry you as promised. Otherwise, failing your task will have consequences far worse than losing a kidney.
What? What task? How did Emma know about the task?
David, stop treating everyone like fools. Whether you agree or not, your kidney will go to James.
With that, she left without waiting for my response. The next moment, a group of people rushed in, roughly pulling me up, tying my hands and feet with ropes, and strapping me to the bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't resist at all. All I could see was darkness. For a long time. The door to the room slowly opened. I tensed. Someone walked in from outside. The scent of cologne filled the air. It wasn't Emma.
Brother.
James' voice came from beside me. His tone was so gentle it was chilling.
James? What are you doing here?
There was no deep bond between us. In fact, I always felt that James harbored some hostility towards me. Perhaps my presence made him feel threatened. But regardless, both Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Emma valued him greatly.
Just came to see you, my dear brother.
After I was found and brought back, the Smith family, to protect James's reputation and status, claimed that we were twins. So, I became James's nominal older brother.
I must say, brother, your eyes are still quite useful.
His clear laughter made me clench my fists.
What exactly do you want?
James suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly, leaning in close.
I just want to take back everything that belongs to me. The Smith family is mine, and so is Emma. No one can take her away from me.
I didn't take her away. You were the one who looked down on her and didn't want to live a hard life with her.
I still vividly remember how he treated Emma like she was nothing. Emma always thought it was the Smith family who rejected her. To save the engagement, she even stood in the rain for 3 days and nights, hoping the Smith family would change their minds. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were moved, but he stubbornly refused, crying and shouting to break off the engagement. I then volunteered to complete the marriage in his place. Now, why does everyone say I took what belonged to James?
That's right, but so what? Emma still can't forget me and keeps me in her heart. Originally, I didn't need your eyes. I just wanted you to see clearly who Emma truly cares about.
I felt utterly desolate. I had thought that years of companionship would at least earn me a place in Emma's heart. But in the end, I couldn't compare to her childhood friend, James. Perhaps seeing my lack of reaction, James pouted, feeling bored, and got up to leave. His purpose was merely to flaunt in front of me. The next day, the doctor began pre-surgery preparations. I strongly requested to see Emma.
Can we wait until after the wedding to give James the kidney?
I told you, as long as you give your kidney to James, I will marry you and help you complete your task.
Her words were full of disdain.
Please, Emma. The task is just one step away from completion. Once completed, I would receive a reward. My damaged body would be restored. Undergoing the kidney transplant now would mean my end. I would truly be gone.
Facing the end, one does feel fear. Especially when everything is pitch black before my eyes, making me feel even more helpless.
Enough, David. Stop acting in front of me. I've seen through your hypocritical facade, and it makes me sick. I've never met a man as calculating as you. Once you complete your task and leave, where will I find you? Even now, you're full of lies, utterly disgusting.
Emma's voice was sharp, grating on my ears. I was bewildered. I couldn't understand why Emma saw me this way. Were all the past tenderness and affection just a facade? Had she never loved me? But why was the task completion rate at 99%? Where did it go wrong?
Emma, I can give my kidney to James, but it has to be after the wedding. I used my kidney to get you the startup funds, and now I only have one left. If I give it to James now, I won't survive.
My tone was earnest and sincere, from the bottom of my heart.
Even now, you're trying to deceive me? I already know that James used his kidney to get the money. For your sake, he kept it a secret. I can't believe you're shameless enough to claim it as your own.
Emma, if it weren't for that, why would his health be so poor?
Or, David, tell me, with only one kidney, how could you give it to James after the wedding? Can you grow another kidney in such a short time?
I opened my mouth but couldn't tell Emma about the system. This matter couldn't be revealed. After a long pause, Emma still didn't get the answer she wanted. Her eyes were full of disappointment, and she sneered coldly.
If it weren't absolutely necessary, James wouldn't need your kidney. You're not even worthy to carry his shoes. David, if you have any self-awareness, stop pretending in front of me. You make me sick. Prepare for surgery immediately.
Chaotic footsteps rushed into the ward, and a strong force dragged me from the ground and placed me on a stretcher. Soon, something restrained my hands and feet. I didn't know if it was fear or despair. I just felt a chill throughout my body. Emma didn't believe me.
Administer anesthesia to the patient.
No need for anesthesia. He won't feel any pain. They can't wait any longer.
Emma's cold voice came from the speaker. The next second, I felt the blade cut through my skin.
Ah!
I instinctively tensed my body but couldn't move an inch. My abdomen was forcibly opened, the pain making my scalp tingle. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. The force was so great that my palms were a bloody mess.
Why? Where did it go wrong?
Emma's affection for me was clearly at 99%. Why would she do this to me? After a long time, a wave of dizziness hit me. Was the anesthesia finally taking effect?
Host deceased. Mission failed. Beep beep beep. Bug detected. Bug fixed. Rebooting.
The familiar mechanical voice echoed in my ears. When I opened my eyes again, the long-lost light returned. I could see. But at this moment, I had become a wandering soul. In the operating room, the heart monitor showed a flatline. The doctors continued the kidney removal procedure methodically. My face was ashen, lying lifeless on the operating table. A large hole was opened in my abdomen. The place where my kidney used to be was empty. I couldn't help but sigh. The mission had failed again. So close. Suddenly, a flash of white light, and I lost consciousness again.
A
loud noise. I shivered involuntarily. So cold. Looking around, everything was white. It was the morgue. Emma stood at the door, her face pale, staring intently at the freezer. She walked closer, pulling back the white cloth to reveal my face.
David, are you pretending to be dead? The mission isn't complete. How could you die? Stop pretending and get up.
Her eyes were red, her voice harsh. She didn't believe it, didn't believe David could die so easily. She thought it was just a trick to get her attention. But looking at his bloodless, lifeless face, she felt a twinge of fear. Talking to a corpse like this, if anyone else saw it, they would think she had lost her mind. But how did Emma know about the mission? Could it be she knew all along? As I pondered, a black cat slinked in from outside. But Emma seemed unable to see it.
Master.
The black cat's voice was slightly ingratiating, its eyes filled with guilt. That familiar voice. Are you the system? So this is what the system looks like.
I am originally formless and colorless, but because your body ceased to function, I had to find a medium to attach to.
What exactly is going on? Emma seems to know I have a mission. Emma had been acting very strangely lately.
Recently, the system malfunctioned, and I was blocked. Everything you heard from the system was false, leading Emma to believe you approached her with a mission. Everything you did for her was attributed to James.
So, everything was a lie.
Don't worry, as compensation, you will be sent to the next world to start over. All the bugs have been fixed.
But I still needed to stay in this world for a while. During this time, I was forced to stay by Emma's side. Because she was the protagonist of this world. The entire world's fortune was tied to her, and only by staying with her could I keep my spirit intact. I watched as she refused to let anyone bury my body, insisting I wouldn't die so easily, looking disheveled like a madwoman. James was furious seeing her hysterical state. To him, Emma was his possession. How could Emma care about David's fate? Most importantly, because of Emma's madness, the Smith Group began to falter and its market value plummeted. He couldn't just watch his good days slip away.
Lap.
Emma! Get a grip! David is gone! He's gone! Pull yourself together!
Since that day, he couldn't contact the system anymore. He started to panic. James tried to snap Emma out of it. But Emma remained despondent, muttering,
Impossible, David can't be gone. Doesn't he have a mission? Doesn't he have a system? Isn't he invincible? As long as I don't marry him, don't let him complete his mission, he won't leave, and he won't die.
Why? Why didn't the system fix his body?
Emma also sensed something was wrong. She slowly raised her eyes, bloodshot, staring at James.
Where did David's other kidney go?
James didn't expect her to ask this, looking flustered.
I don't know.
Emma suddenly rushed forward, lifting James's shirt. The once hideous scar on his abdomen had disappeared.
What are you doing? You crazy woman!
James's face changed drastically, pushing Emma away.
Ha ha ha. It wasn't you, it really wasn't you.
Since David's passing, she had been dreaming every night. Dreaming of how James resisted fulfilling the marriage contract, treating her like trash. Dreaming of David kneeling before Mr. and Mrs. Smith, begging for the marriage contract. Dreaming of David selling his kidney to raise $30,000 for her. dreaming of David and the system's light-hearted banter, confident she would marry him, complete the mission, restore his body, and stay in this world with her. He loved her. It turned out, David was truly gone. She had caused his demise. Seeing Emma in such a state, James panicked. Without the system to rely on, he was helpless.
I have to get out of here.
He turned to escape, but as soon as he opened the door, two burly men stood there. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were pushed in, tied up and beaten so badly that their faces were unrecognizable.
Tell me. What is going on?
Her voice was cold and stern.
Emma, please don't be like this. I'm scared.
James knelt in front of her, resting his head on her lap, trying to act pitiful as usual, but his body trembled uncontrollably.
Don't make me repeat myself.
Her fingers dug into his chin painfully. Meeting her gaze, James's pupils contracted.
Rack.
The sound of bones breaking. Mr. and Mrs. Smith had cloth stuffed in their mouths, their fingers being broken one by one. They groaned in pain, shaking their heads frantically but to no avail. Their limbs were brutally broken with sticks.
James.
A voice like a devil's whisper came. It seemed he would be next. James's mental defenses collapsed. He screamed and turned his head away from her gaze.
It has nothing to do with me. It's all David's fault. He came from another world and dared to compete with me for you. I'm the real protagonist. He thought being good to you would complete his mission. Wishful thinking. He did so much for you, stayed by your side, and yet you didn't trust him. You took his corneas and kidneys. How ridiculous. Only that fool David thought he could stay by your side.
Emma sat in the shadows, her expression unreadable, her tone indifferent.
Take them away, break their limbs, cut out their tongues, but don't let them leave us. I want them to beg for the rest of their lives.
It has nothing to do with me. The one who caused David's demise is you.
Emma remained calm, even nodding in agreement.
Yes, I caused David's demise. And I will face my own retribution.
James was dragged away, his mouth covered, eyes full of fear. He wanted to say more but could only make muffled sounds. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were the same. I stood aside, watching coldly. A black cat lay at my feet, licking its paws, explaining everything. The reason I came into this story was because the protagonist had awakened another consciousness. That was James. He had developed a bug. I came to replace James and stay with Emma. But the bug in James was so powerful that it severed my connection with the system. It also made Emma misunderstand my intentions, leading to everything that happened. Now, with my passing, the system broke through the barrier and fixed the bug. Emma sat in the house all night. As the sun rose, its light streamed through the windows. Her once shiny black hair had turned white. In her eyes, there was no more vitality, only regret. She got up, went to the kitchen, and took a kitchen knife to the bathroom. She filled the bathtub with warm water, then cut her skin with the sharp blade, placing her wrist into the warm water. A look of relief spread across Emma's face.
David, wait for me.
Suddenly, time stopped.
Actually, Emma was also deceived. This was all a misunderstanding. If you want to stay in this world, you still can. It's not too late.
The black cat hesitated. This was a small compensation for me. I was silent for a moment. Finally, I shook my head slowly. No, I won't stay. Belated affection is worth less than grass.